we want to we want to welcome you most heartily to this session. Thank you for taking the time out to be with us. So this afternoon, we want to introduce to our faculty our teaching emphasis series, and the high point of this teaching emphasis series throughout the months of April and May will be the opening of our teaching exhibition, Teaching with AI, Play, Pause, Proceed. And in a few moments, we're going to invite Mrs. Michelle Stewart McCoy and Mr. Mc- Mr. Williams, Dominic Williams, to show you around this site. It's an online exhibition on LibGuides, a platform hosted by our library. And in that regard, I'd like to take time out to salute and to thank very much for the work they have done on this site for us. Mrs. Bernadette Worrell Johnson, who is online with us, and Mrs. Karen Edwards, two of our great librarians who have really supported this venture in immense ways. And we don't have enough words to express thanks to our two professionals in the library for the time and the effort and all the professionalism that they exhibited in working with us to get this online exhibition or this virtual exhibition to the point where we can launch it. So, Mrs. Bernadette Worrell, thank you so, Worrell Johnson, thank you so much. I'm not seeing Mrs. Karen Edwards as yet. I hope she will join with us. And then throughout the months of April and May, we're going to have some additional goodies that we're inviting you to participate in. For instance, later on, we're going to launch a CETL 1002 activity. It's going to be a course on our learning management system, Moodle, generative AI in higher education, teaching and learning. And you need to do this self-paced course. We have been very happy that our faculty colleagues at St. Augustine have assisted us to host this. They actually created this course, and we have been given permission to use it on the Mona campus. So we want to make that known right up front. And throughout the month, we'll be having numerous other activities. In the month of May, I'll be hosting two town hall meetings, designing AI resistant assignments. So can't afford to miss these town hall meetings, and we will advise you as to the time for these town hall meetings as we seek to develop our skills and competencies to deal with the moment, to deal with it as we have called it, deal with it. And so a number of these activities that we have planned for this teaching emphasis series will focus on AI, teaching with AI. We will tell you some more about these because we have limited time this afternoon. Later on today, Mrs. Stewart McCoy will lead us in our regular lunch and work activity, H5P Page tool. And she will tell you more about that. And then she will come back on the 16th for another workshop, 16th of April at 2 p.m., rethinking the textbook, creating H5P digital interactive books. Also in this month, towards the end of the month, we are going to be hosting the UWI Teaching Excellence Awards for our teachers who have done well in the classroom. This activity is also done in association with the Beryl Allen Teaching Award for Innovative Teaching. So these two activities will combine as one, the Beryl Allen Teaching Award for Innovative Teaching and the UICTL Teaching Excellence Award. And this is going to be on the 30th of April at 5 p.m. in the multifunctional room at the library. So again, welcome, welcome. And we are going to see what is in store for us when we engage with the teaching exhibition, teaching with AI, play, pause, proceed. So at this time, it is my pleasurable duty to declare the exhibition open and to pilot us through these pages will be Mrs. Michelle Stewart McCoy and Mr. Dominic Williams. Mrs. McCoy.
Thank you, Dr. Chisholm. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just before I take us through the LibGuide, Mr. Williams actually is going to play for you a little teaser that has some of the things that Dr. Chisholm just mentioned. So, Mr. Williams?
Here at the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, we're all about shaping what's next. So are you ready? Let's dive into some brand new resources we've designed just for you. First up, you can master new tech skills in minutes with our Bits and Bytes tutorials. These are quick, practical guides made to fit right into your packed schedule. It's all about empowering you to watch it, learn it, and put it to use today. Now let's talk about sharing great ideas. Say hello to the brand new Gifts podcast. This is where you can share your technology gifts and, of course, learn from your peers. And speaking of innovation, yeah, we're tackling one of the biggest topics out there, AI. Our new guide uses this play, pause, proceed idea to help you explore AI thoughtfully. You know, this commitment to innovation is also about celebrating human excellence right here. We're recognizing folks who are really pushing boundaries and inspiring their students. So the bottom line is this: we're here to support you on your teaching journey. Go explore all these new resources. They're coming soon to help you answer that very question.
Thank you so much, Dominic, Mr. Williams. So Dr. Chisholm has asked that we give you a little taste of what you can expect now that the LibGuide is live. In addition to the two ladies he mentioned from the library, I also would like to acknowledge the assistance that we got from Heather Thompson. She came on board, she helped, and we have a product which I think is something that you may benefit from. So I just wanted to acknowledge Ms. Thompson as well. Thank you so much, Heather. I'm about to share my screen. And I am using two monitors, so I will be looking away from my camera while I think I shared the wrong screen. Let's stop sharing that and do again. Share, I need to share screen too. Right, you should be seeing it now. Please let me know.
Yes.
Okay, great. So as Dr. Chisholm mentioned, the LibGuide is about teaching with AI. It's an area that is still of concern. Some of us are still wary, some of us are still unaware. And so we have put together this guide that will help you to play, explore in a low stakes environment, pause, stop and to reflect on the areas that are of concern, and then proceed, go forth with some strategies and so forth. The LibGuide site, and Mr. Williams, I'm going to ask you to share that in the link, please. The LibGuide is hosted on the university's LibGuide platform. When you enter this particular link, and we'll share it again, you will come to this page, which is the welcome page, which basically are a series of videos which help you to understand what the LibGuide is about. And so we have several videos, and then everything that we have created, we have tried to use an AI tool to put it together. So whereas the content may be original and the videos may be put on the YouTube, as much as was humanly possible, we use different AI tools. So you have the welcome page that you can go through. Play is where the excitement begins. So you start with a question just for you. Have you ever used it? Can you handle yourself? And when you submit, you can see the responses of your other colleagues. No names, it's anonymized, it simply give you the data. Then you have a tool sampler. This is where we introduce you to several tools, just a few when you consider how exhaustive the list is that you can test. So we have set up some basic information. If I click on this, it will carry you to a page where it tells you that here are some tools that you can test. And you simply test, put in a prompt, see what happens. Go beyond the tool that you may be using and look at others. We have a prompt playground. We are told that the better the prompt, that is the input that we put into the tool, the better the generation that you get. And so we have a playground where you can find out a little bit more about what it is, look at the different models that exist, and then you have a Padlet playground with instructions on how exactly you can use it. So if you click on that, it tells you how to use it. It gives you some samples and then it invites you to test it out. So you can do so. Your name is not needed at all. So you should be fine in testing it out in very low stakes settings. You can make as many errors as you want. We have a little quiz that we encourage you to take as well to find out where you are on the AI competence strategy. Very basic, but it gives you an idea of where you are as well as some strategies as to how you can improve your skill set where this is concerned. And we also set up a chat bot where you could ask it some questions, anything that had to do with AI and the UIMONA policy and what is allowed and what isn't. And then, of course, we set up a little game that also uses AI where you can see how well you have been doing. So this is our exploration page, our play area. After you have done so, we invite you to go to the pause. Now you can go in any direction, but we would want you to ideally explore first before you pause and reflect. So we have the reflect page here, which looks at why do students cheat, this in academic integrity and academic dishonesty, where exactly do we fall here? We also have some policies and guides. So we have the university's policies, the draft policy that came out, as well as our guides that we have put together to help you. So you'll find that there. And then we have a site that we had set up that we call plain answers to common questions. It is set up in a very basic, simple language. So we know that faculty still have questions, and so we have several categories that you can look at. So start out with basic understanding if you're still struggling. And as I said before, the language is very, very simple. So if you click on it, it simply says that generative AI is something as a tool that can create the text. It doesn't go into large language models, which some of us still don't understand. And when you go through, we also encourage you to look at the professional practice aspect, which has to do with you, the user, the facilitator, the administrator. And, very simple questions. Do I need to be an expert? And it breaks it down. For us, we don't have to be experts, but we need to have at least minimal knowledge and basic functions. So that is there for you to explore as well under the pause page. I think that was the last one on the pause. And then finally, we have what we call the proceed page. This is where you take what you have been exploring and reflecting upon and move with it so that you can apply it in your particular context. So we have your AI tier. We know that the university says that there are 3 elements. You can allow AI fully, you can allow it partially, or none at all. How do you know which one based on the courses you teach? So this is just a little activity that helps you to decide where do you fall. We set up a toolkit, which is, I'm going to click on it, which is downloadable. So it gives you 4 steps that you can look at as you go through. And so you identify your goals, you move through. I think here it tells you, you identify your goals, you determine what your values are, you design, and then you evaluate its impact. So this is there that you can download. On the Proceed page, what we have are material that you can download. And we have a video that talks about writing better prompts. We also have lesson and assessment redesign. So you have a case for that, as well as a PowerPoint, the presentation creation. And then, of course, we have a prompt library, which is still work in progress, where we are putting prompts, because even though you may go through the information, you may still feel a little bit shaky. So we have put together some prompts that you can simply copy and paste according and adjust according to your needs. So you have the instruction, and then if you're having your learning, or if you're setting up your lecture outline, you can simply copy, put in the topic, put in the year level. So you change what you want and use that. It is still being built, so you can come back if this is something that works for you. And we wrap our Proceed page up with the about the CETL and our librarians who work here, our liaison librarian. So you will find some information as well as about LibGuides in the university. For our page, we have some more information, contact information, the persons in the unit, but we also have an evaluation where we encourage you to share your feedback with us. So that is it in a nutshell. Our play, pause, proceed LibGuide. We encourage you to go to explore, to see what material we have put together that may be useful to you. And of course, if you need more assistance, we encourage you to reach out to us. Dr. Chisholm, back to you.
Okay, well, it's really back over to you again. Thank you so much for that introduction. And Mr. Williams has indicated how we can reach to this virtual exhibition. We're really happy that for the second time, we can be bringing you a virtual exhibition that you can navigate in your own time, at your own speed, and engage in what is a faculty development exercise so that you will be better prepared to deal with it, to deal with the conditions that we are beset with today as we seek to navigate the classroom and AI. I just marked an assignment that was, oh my God, it was out of this world. And I'm saying to myself, this youngster could not write so well. This must be an AI paper. Mark you, Turnitin says it is 100% AI. And I spoke to the student and she swears on her mother's grave that, well, she didn't actually tell me that. I put that in. But she did say that she did not use AI. So we have a dilemma on our hands. We are going through some kind of stormy waters in terms of academic honesty or academic dishonesty. And we want to learn as much about AI, and the detection tools, I'm told, are not accurate. And that's what everybody's saying. So Turnitin is not accurate. So we're going to do as much as we can to help our faculty to navigate these murky waters. Thank you so much, Mrs. Stuart McCoy and Mr. Williams, for introducing this exhibition to us, and of course, our librarians, Mrs. Bernadette Worrell Johnson, and I think it's Miss Karen Edwards, and then you mentioned Miss Thompson.
Yes.
Who assisted as well. I didn't know about Miss Thompson. Thank you for advising us. We really, really are appreciative of your help. So now it's time to talk about the Lunch and Learn faculty development activity that we had planned. It's just about 24 after 12, and we ask you for another half an hour or so, or a little more perhaps. Mrs. Stuart McCoy, it's your turn again.
Thank you, Dr. Chisholm. All right, colleagues, thank you for being here again. And today we are looking at another H5P tool. Now I know that some persons are here for the first time, so we're not going to leave you stranded. We're going to talk about what exactly the tool is and how you can use it. I am joined by Mr. Williams, who has been here when we have been having our session. So Mr. Williams, I want to thank you again. And yes, I'm going to ask you to open your camera just for those who don't know what you look like to see your face, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dominic, and I'll be assisting Mrs. McFly.
Thank you so much, Dominic. So I'm about to share my screen. I would like to quickly go through two quick disclaimers with you. One, what we do here in the CETL is for teaching and learning purposes. And as such, when we are explaining information, if you ask a question, if you mention something, this is captured in our recordings. If for whatever reason, when we share this, you don't, well, if before we share this, if you don't want to be captured, if you don't want your comments to be there, if you don't want your name to be there, please reach out to us so that we can make adjustments to the video before we share. So that is the first thing that I wanted to point out to you. The second thing is I'm using two monitors. So when I start sharing, I'm going to be looking away from the camera. Mr. Williams will be looking for any comments that you may have, any questions that you may have, and will post or anything that you have in the chat, and will signal this to me. You should be seeing my screen. Let me know if you're seeing my screen.
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. So today we are looking at the H5P tool, and I just want to say welcome again to our Mona peoples, but also to those who are from the other campuses. I know that we have had quite an attendance from our Trinidad and Tobago members, and we are happy to have you. So we're looking at another H5P tool. We have been using this semester to look at this tool, which rests in our learning management system, whether we call it Moodle, VLE, My eLearning. It works it is right there, and many persons don't know much about it. So very quickly today, we're going to look at what exactly is the H5, well, what is H5P? For those who are new, for those who are here before, you will already be comfortable. And what exactly is the page tool, and how is it different from the page that we already have in our learning management system? And then we'll go through the steps, which is basically just putting information together. You'll see how easy it is, but you're looking at how you can actually engage students by doing that, and how we can make it available to our students. So that is essentially what we're going to be doing today. What is H5P? H5P means HTML5 package. I don't know if you remember when the days of Flash, when we used to have SWF files, shockwave files, and we could package everything. So we could have audio, video, text, everything, and package it together in one file. And then Shockwave had its end of life. And so they had to come up with something that could also package the information. And so HTML5 was born, and H5P is HTML5 package. It has we can find it in the VLE, and we'll see in a few where it is and how we can access it. And it has 53, I think when we last counted, 53 different interactives, interactions, content types. You'll hear different names. And a number of them are very, 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 very common, very popular. But there are 53. It works across all disciplines with different subject areas. And it allows you to add text, image, interaction, quizzes, a number of different tools. And students can interact without leaving the Moodle platform at all. So students are able to engage with the tool, whatever in content type it is, right there in the VLE. Okay, so essentially that is what it is. It's an interactive tool. It allows students to read, respond, reflect. And so it is quite an interesting tool to work with. And I mentioned that there are a couple of popular ones, and we have been trying to cover in our tutorials that we have been having the popular ones. So there is the interactive video where your students watch and the video pauses at a particular point and they have a question that they have to answer, and then it continues and another response that is expected of them. And one of the reasons that I have found the interactive video to be so engaging and useful, especially for active learning purposes, is that I know that some students, they don't want to really go through the video. So what they do is they play it at 1.5 to double speed, that sort of thing. Or they simply jump to the very end and say, okay, I've gone through it. What the interaction does is that they become more than just passive viewers. They are engaged because they are responding to different things. And we had a session schedule, which because of low attendance, we didn't really have that, but we're putting it together so you can still have access to that. The course presentation is also very popular. It's almost like PowerPoint, but it has additional enhancements, and you can integrate activities within it that you can then link to the gradebook if you wanted to grade it, so that students could see how they're doing. And other popular tools are drag and drop, fill in the blank, the interactive book, which we're doing next week on the 16th. Dr. Chisholm mentioned that. And the image hotspot. The page tool is what we are looking at today. Okay, now what does the tool do? In the VLE, we have a page, and the page is a resource, meaning we can only add content to it for our students to read. The content, we can add links that take us to other pages or to websites, but it is a resource simply for giving content to students. Without the interactive tool, the H5P tool also allows you to add content, but it also gives you interaction. So within the page, you can put in a quiz, you can put in a video, you can put in an image hotspot, so students are engaged with the content type much better than if it were just a static page where they're looking at. So think of the H5P page like a website, a mini website that you have inside of the VLE. If you don't have a tool like this, what happens is that you have the content. So you would have your file that you upload, you have your page, you have your URL. And so you have students moving from link to link and content to content. And unless you organize it in such a way, the flow isn't as logical, or the pacing isn't as logical as you would want. And it makes it difficult for you to mix media types, especially if you're using that. What we suggest is that with the H5P page, you have one page, you can organize it exactly how you want. You can have text and image and video, then quiz. You have a narrative flow based on what you have put together. And the students do more than just clicking at different things on the VLE. They get a chance to scroll and interact. And when would we use something like this? We would use it if we're doing our introduction. So if you have your weekly introductions, you can set up a page, you can put in a diagnostic type question in there, and students can see how well they're doing. You can use it for case study walkthroughs. You can use it for flipped classroom content. So you give this to them before they come to class, and when they come to class, they carry out the practical aspect. And then, of course, you can use it for revisions at the end of a unit, at the end of a week, at the end of a topic. You can use that with them. All right. So essentially, that is it. If you think about it, that is how you put the content together. Now, the beauty of it lies in actually creating the page. And so we are going to move from here to the VLE to creating a page in my course, Game-Based Learning in the Caribbean. Remember, this is a fictitious course set up only for example purposes. All right. So I am going to go to the course. Let me just, well, maybe I should come out of the presentation. Come out of the presentation. All right. So I go to my learning management system, my VLE, my e-learning, whatever it is we call it, and I have to log in. Before we start doing anything at all, though, we would have to plan out exactly what it is we're doing. So one of the first things we would plan out is, okay, what exactly are my learning outcomes for this particular section? What is it that I want my students to know or to be able to do? Which one of the assessment, the question types will help to ensure that this is done? Do I need to do a true false? Do I need to do a quiz? Do I need to have an exploration component in there, which would mean that I need to put in an image map? All right. So you think through all of that and you have all your content together. After you have done that, you go to your VLE and you log in. So I'm just going to quickly log in, and I'm going to go to my course, which is where I want to have the information. What we found out in the sessions that we have had previously is that there are two ways that you can add your H5P content. One is going to the particular area in your course and setting up the basics and then going to the content bank. The second one, which is easier for me and the way that I have been showing us, is going into your course and setting up the content bank first. So I'm just going to click on more and then go down to the content bank. Unlike our other tools that we use, so if we have a file that we want to put up, we go to add a file and we click upload. That doesn't work with H5P. It has its own content bank, which is where the H5P packages are built. So you would click on content bank, and this is where you will see all the H5Ps that you have created before. And if you wanted to edit any of them, you could go in and edit. And if you go to add, so I'm going to click the drop down, you'll realize that there is a long list of different interactions that you can use. So I think in the first session that we did, when we counted, we got 53. I'm almost sure that it was 53. So this is where you would add, meaning you build it right here. You may see that there is an upload button as well. The upload button is if you have a tool that allows you to create your H5P content external to the VLE. And once you have done that, you can upload it and do further edits if you want. We have been building in the VLE. So we are going to go to add, and we're going to look for page. It is usually in alphabetical order. So I'm scrolling down and I'm looking for page. I did say it's in alphabetical order, don't it? Huh. That's weird. I am not seeing it anymore. Did anybody see me skip past it? No? All right,
No.
that is odd. All right, so I am going to create it using the tool that I was telling you about, and then I will upload it. I will have to double check with MITS what happened to it. So I'm just going to create it using the tool. So I told you that you can add it or you can upload it. So I am going to create it using the tool, and the Lumi is a free tool that we were exposed to in one of our sessions before. It allows you to create your content, you upload it time. So you can work with it on your desktop or you can work with it wherever you are. All right, so my Lumi is loading, and let me just bring it over so that you can see it. Give me a minute. Listen to Lumi. All right, and then let me put this Zoom. All right, so you will realize, click off, you will realize that it looks just like the interface when we're going to be adding anything. And so I want to do a quick search instead of scrolling. So I'm going to type in page, and there it is. So it comes up here. When it is replaced on our VLE, this is what you will see. And I can click on details. It gives me some information, and then I click on use. When I click on use, it opens the interface where I can do everything. And this is for my game-based learning in the Caribbean course. So for the title, I am looking at Bartles Games. And so I would just simply type in my title right here. And after that, you'll realize that you add content. So this is where you add your different content types. When we're starting, we want to ensure that the students have an idea of what this page is going to be about. So the first thing we'll do, we'll click the drop down and you'll see all the different contents. So when we were looking at the content types just now on the VLE, these are the same content types that are there, more or less. So we are going to be looking for text because we don't want to just throw the students in just like that. So we're going to look for text, and we click on text, and this is where we are going to put in some kind of introduction. If we use a text, it only allows text. If we use something that's called a course presentation, what that allows you to do is to put text and images and other things in there. So I am just going to put the introduction text here, which is what my students would see. And then I can add another content. So this is what you keep doing. You keep adding your content. Below, you'll see something that says separate content with a horizontal ruler. This is good if you have different sections or different areas that should be self-contained. And so you can do that. But I'm going to add an image first before I insert the ruler. So I go and I click on content, and this is where I now scroll and I look for image. Not hotspot, but just image. Here it is. So I click on that, and then I click on add, and it is going to ask me, where do I want to get my image from? I have a folder here on my desktop. And so this is the image that I want to put in, okay? So I click on that, and usually I have to put some kind of alternative text so that if it doesn't load, it tells the student what this is. If the image is for decoration purposes only, I can select that and it doesn't require me to put the alternative text in because it's treated as peripheral in this case. And now I am going to ask that my ruler be put in. All right, so I'm going to put my ruler in. So that is the first thing that my students will see. And I can view what I have already. So it tells them that in this session, this is what is going to happen, and it gives them an image that they can use. I go back to edit and I add more content. So I go here and I click on add content, and I am going to add again text. And so, well, this time let me add a course presentation to show you what that looks like. Course presentation. So it's asking me if I want to change. So this is what the course presentation looks like, where you can add your text, you can put in links, you can put in images and so forth. So I'm going to start out with text because I want my students to get some information about the first types of learners. So I put my text here, and I probably put a little heading that says achievers. And then I can make this bold if I want. And this is the information. Now this is just text. And I click enter, and I'll put my text right here, and I can resize it based on what I'm doing. And then I'm going to add just an image. So I'm going to add an image which shows who the achiever is likely to be. And here I have image of my 4 types. And I click on that so that it tells me that I don't have to put a text, and I put my image right here. So you can move it around. You can decide that you wanted the image first and then the text. It really doesn't matter. So this you can do in the course presentation if you select that one. And after I'm done with that, I can then add content. And this is where I now want to add a question so that my students can start thinking about what it is that they have read. So my first question, my first interaction is going to be a true false, something relatively easy for them to do. I am looking for true false. When you see it, let me. It doesn't have a true false.
Yes, it's there.
Where?
Scroll back down. It was just before. There you go,
There
right
it is.
after. Mhm.
Thank you so much. So I am now going to put a question in where my students can answer something about achievers. It says untitled, but I can leave it as true, false, or you can name it if you have, depending on how many interactions you put in your page. And then where it says questions, you put in your question. So you realize that the interface is very straightforward, very intuitive. You're basically putting the information. It says that achievers are usually most motivated by open-ended wondering with no stated goal. This is not true. All right. And then, of course, you would have thought about the kind of feedback you want to give. So we are good, and I am going to put my ruler in. Okay. And so I continue to build like that. I'm going to add another text. And for this one, I want to add an interaction with the image hotspot. So let me put another one in that looks at the explorers. So based on my course, we are looking at Bartle's different player taxonomy, and we are looking at the different typologies. And so we just did the achievers, and now we're doing the explorers. So there's some information here about the explorers. And the next content that I will add for that will be an image hotspot. For those of you who were here, the image hotspot has been quite popular because it allows you to have one single image into which you can add text, you can add audio, you can add a video, you can add another image, you can put in links and so forth. So the image hotspot is a favorite among faculty, but also among students because they're working with a visual content piece into which they have other information. So we're going to set up an image hotspot. So I'm gonna click on add. And because this is the Explorer type, I'm going to use a map where they will click on the respective sections. So here is my image background, and I would put an alternative text here because this is something that I need. So it is a map of the Caribbean, which is color coded. And that's Caribbean, and color is spelled correctly. The predefined icon, we will leave that. We will keep the plus sign, but you can change it to anything else if you want. So if I change it to an exclamation, we will see what that looks like in a few. And then we can decide whether or not we're going to keep this color or we're going to change it to something else. You notice that this thing here is blinking. That is what the students would see, and that is what they would. This is what helps us to determine where we put the respective hotspot. So let us start with Jamaica Land We Love. So my first hotspot would be there. All I need to do is to click on where I want it and it automatically moves there. So I am putting it on Jamaica because my first hotspot is there. I can cover the entire image with the hotspot, but I don't need that for this because within this map, there are different areas that I will be putting the different information. And a header is simply like a label. So for this label, I am going to put classroom badges. Remember that my course is called Game-Based Learning in the Caribbean. So I'm going to put my information there. And then for the content type, see, I can put in text, I can put in a video, I can put in another image, I can put in audio that my students would interact with. But I am going to put a text because this is a page that already has several things. And so for my page, I am going to put in the information that I want right here. Remember that for text, you can only add a text. And then if I wanted to add another hotspot, I simply click on add hotspot. The map comes up again, and then I move to where I want. So I'm going to TNT next. And again, I don't need to do anything there because it's just for one little area. And then I'll put my header, which would be team challenges. And again, I'm just going to use text. So I'm going to put the information that I want my students to read right here. Okay, so I put my text and I can keep adding hotspots until I am happy with it. And then finally, I am going to put a question. All right, so I'm going to put a question that has to do with the different types that my students have just looked at. So I would have a multiple choice this time. So my content is going to be a multiple choice. Now you realize that you can put in any kind of thing, but I'm going to go for a multiple choice for here, just that you can see what it looks like. And for this, my question is asking about the Explorer. So I put my question right here. And then I put in my options, which would be what the students would see and select. So option 1, I'm going to put it here. And if option 1 is the correct option, I would simply tick it. And then it says tips and feedback. And we have been speaking about giving feedback so that students can know not just that they got it right or they got it wrong, but also an explanation why. I'm not putting in any feedback in today's session, but I'm just reminding us that when we're setting ours up, we need to remember to have constructive feedback so that the students can learn from what it is they did wrong, how they could correct it, and so forth. So I'm just going to put in three options so that you can see what it would look like. And it gives us 2, so I simply click on add option to add the third option. So I am going to put my third option. And then I double check it just to make sure that I have the correct thing. All right. And so I scroll up again and I look at what this looks like so far. So I go to view. In your VLE, it would have save. And when you click on save, you see what it looks like. So this is what my page is looking like. The image is very large, so I'd probably have to resize it. So in the session, this is what it looks like. It's decent because it gives the more than just an image. It also explains things. So I suppose the image size can work. And then it has my achievers, it has the image, it has the text. And then when I scroll on, I see a question that I have to respond to. If I select true and I check, it shows me that it's incorrect. I can retry. So you test it as a student every time so that you have an idea of what the student would be seeing and what the student would be engaging in. And here I have my map, and because I use the exclamation sign, this is what it would look like. So the students would see this map, click on where they see the exclamation, and then read the information. Here we only have text. But remember, you could easily put in an image, you could put in a video, you could put in a combination. You could have text and an image, text and a video, text and an audio. So you can make your hotspot, your image very interactive. And then of course, if I click on the other hotspot, it gives me some information. And below that, it gives me my question. So if I selected this and check, it would show me that that is incorrect. And of course, if I had put up the feedback, the students will also get the feedback. And if I retry, which would, and you notice that it jumbles it did the, what do you call it? Scrambling. So it changes the order of the responses. So they don't just automatically go back and select A, and then it tells me that it is correct. So once I have done this and I'm happy with it, because I'm working external to the VLE, it means that I have to save this and upload it to my VLE. So I'm going to do that. So I would go up to File and I would go to Save, right? So I'm going to save it. And my save comes up. Please note it saves as an H5P because we cannot upload an HTML, we cannot upload a zip file to the content bank. Content bank only takes H5. All right, so I'm going to name it Bartle Player Types. And then I'm going to just put page. All right, and I save this. Now, because I am working in the external tool, it means that I cannot add because I didn't work on it there. It's taking a little while to save. There we go. So what I would have to do, I'd have to go back to my course. And this time, instead of clicking add, what I would have to do is click on upload. So I click on upload, and please note it tells me that it only works with H5P files. So I am just going to do a quick search for where my file is. You can drag and drop if you want, or you can click the choose and upload. It also gives me a limit, which is 100 megs, but your thing should really be that large. So I am just going to drop it right here, and it takes a little while to load, and there it is. And I can click on save changes. Okay. Oh, it has two. Why does it have two? Oh no, it says, sorry, this file is not valid. All right, so we have a little challenge, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if because it has been removed, which was very recent, if it's not working with it. All right. Anyway, I will reach out to MITS to find out what exactly is happening. But what I can show you is, let me just save this as the file that my students would see. So I'm just going to export it. So I go back to my file and I go down to export. All right. Now I can do this as a SCORM, which also is in the VLE. Or I can do this as an HTML file, a all-in-one HTML file, which means that the only thing that happens is that the student gets one file and one file only. or I could save it as an HTML with several files, but this sometimes tend to be a little bit messy. So I'm going to click all-in-one HTML file, and then I'm going to click on export. Now, if for whatever reason you have a challenge in the VLE, what you can do is save this and share it with your students by other means. They don't need to be able to access it in the VLE if the VLE is not working with it. So let me just call this one Bartle Typologies and allow it to save. And then I'm going to share it in the chat so that you can see exactly what that looks like. So we're just waiting a little bit until it saves. And I wanted to ask, are there any questions? I'm trying to stick as much as possible to the half an hour that we were given. Any questions? I'm going to close this. And I am going to open my HTML file, which I would get. All right, so I'm just going to bring this across so that you see. So this is the H5P file, which I can edit and make adjustments to. This is the all-in-one HTML file that I can send to my students. So if I click on it, it opens up as a web page, and this is what my students would see. So they would scroll through, they would see the information. The only thing with this is that when they check the information, they get the feedback here. But if I wanted to have it registered in the VLE, I would have to ensure that this is on the VLE. This is not on the VLE, so I can't assign it to the grade book, but my students can still go through. So I could make this a self-paced activity where they go through at their own time, go through the material, test the information. And so there. So this is a page, and it is different from, oh, I said I was going to share it in the chat so that you can see that it works. So let me just share this, and I'll ask anybody to open it. I'm just going to share it in the chat. Give me 1 second, please. So this is a file, and I am going for it. You may need to download it to your device. So please let me know if you have downloaded it as soon as it comes across. And so we're just going to wait a little bit for somebody to test it. And anybody can test. Has anybody downloaded it?
Yes.
Okay, have you tested it? What happens when you
Just open it
open it?
in Google Chrome. It
And
looks good.
yes, so this is what you can actually send to your students if you wanted them to go through on their own, maybe not anything aligned to your VLE. All right. So, and of course, this isn't complete. You could easily add more information. I'm happy to hear that it works. Okay. So that is the page. It is interactive. It is not static like the Moodle page that we have. Of course, in one of the sessions we had done before, we realized that you can use them as complements, not necessarily as competing elements. And so the interactive page is good for you because it has, why does this look like that? Oh, because it has the content that you want to share with your students, but it also has interaction where they can check their knowledge, they can apply, you can have them explore, you can have them drag and drop, you can have them watch a video and have the video pause at different points. And all of these things are in one page. So this makes well, it augurs well for active learning strategies because the students are not just simply sitting and receiving the information or skipping it, because some students do that. All right. So I just wanted to share that with you. Now, when we think of the H5P page, there are a couple of other things that we need to think about. We need to ensure that when we're setting this up for our students, that we think in short bursts. We call them chunking, all right? So after you have worked out exactly what your learning objectives are, you have decided that you're going to use this particular content type from H5P because you want to put all the information together in one structure like a web page. Students scroll through, read the information, but they also interact. So you figure that this is what you want. These are the questions you want to ask. This, you want them to do a little bit of exploration. So you make a note of the different content type that you will need. When you have done all of that and you're ready to work on your page tool, chunk the information. So you have an introduction to what it is the students would be going through. Then you have a small overview of what it is that they'll be doing. So you have the label. This is for some of us, you can even put the learning outcomes right there as the first thing that they see. Okay. And don't make the sections long at all. Don't give them the full lecture notes. Don't anything that will take longer than a minute for you to explain. Do not put it in there. That is going to be too long for one block. All right. So think short. Think several sequences. Think chunking. And then as you go through, remember that with H5P, its strength is in interaction, interactivity, engaging the student, active aspects, engagement. And so you have to use this kind of interactivity if you want to have a strong tool, something that your students engage with. So you use the interaction. So you can add your text, then you add an image and your media, then you add a question or a task or an exploration, and then you repeat. So the students are not just seeing content alone, they're seeing content and a call to action. Whether the call to action is for them to explore using the image hotspot or to explore using the drag and drop where they're going to be pulling things to different areas, or to respond where they're answering certain questions based on what they have seen. The other thing is that each block should have a clear purpose. So everything in that you have in your blocks should do a job. So if you're going to put in text, what will the text be doing? Will it be framing the information? Will it be explaining? Will it be giving instructions? If you're going to put an image, what is the image going to be doing? Is it going to be anchoring the text that you're putting in? Is it going to be providing content? If you're going to put a video in, what is the video for? Is it for short, focused information? Is it for the students to go through and respond? If you're going to be putting questions in, what is the questions going to be for? Is the question going to be checking, understanding immediately? If you're going to be putting in image hotspots, why? Is the image hotspot because you want students to explore a particular area? So everything that you put in each of the blocks must make sense, must have a purpose. If it doesn't, then you leave it out, all right? And then you keep the interactions low stake and frequent. So instead of having one big question at the end that have all these different quizzes, what you do is sort of spread out the different interactions throughout. So right after you put a piece of content, you may put a true-false question as we did in the example. And then later on, you may decide to do a matching, but don't just leave the interaction for the end when the students basically don't remember anything that they've gone through before. Try and chunk the information, little pieces, add the content, put in the interactives. And then you design for flow. So remember that this is all about teaching and learning. So you're not just going to put in the features because, wow, this thing have 53 different content type. Let me see if I can put 50 in there. That is not the approach. It's about teaching and learning. It's about looking at your learning outcomes. It's about looking at the activities that will help the students with the big ticket assessment. So we always have to think about that kind of constructive alignment, learning outcomes, the activities that will help them to get towards that big ticket assessment that we have. So it's not about how many of the content type that I can put into this page. It's really about which of the content type will help my students to understand the content better, to show that they are learning, applying, synthesizing, whatever it is that we want them to do. And as you do so, ensure that your page have a basic structure. So there must be a clear beginning, some introductory text, your learning outcomes, if you're putting in your learning outcome. And then it has a middle. This is where it has the content and the information. And then try to wrap it up with a clearly established end. So you may want to put in a reflective question. You may want to put in a recap of what the session was, but you ensure that that kind of structure is there. And always, always, always test it as a student would. So if you're using an external tool, test it before. If you're using the VLE, you get an opportunity to test it. All right. And then, of course, what I tend to say to us is that start small, enjoy the process, ask your student for feedback, document whether or not this works, ask them about what was the part they liked the best, the part that they, didn't like so much. And then you go again and go smaller and build on it over time. I want to go back to the VLE. Although we weren't able to use that particular tool, I want to show you how do you then, after you have put it here, you have built it, how do you get it where the students can access it? So I'm just going to go back to my course and I'm going to use a different interaction, all right? So you go into your course and you turn editing on. In order for us to add anything, we have to turn editing on. And so you scroll to the section where you want the students to engage. All right, so I'm going to come to level 2. And we have some H5Ps here already. And you click on add an activity as under resources. We are used to, because this is something that we do all the while. I'm just going to filter it by activities, and I'm going to look for H5P. Here it is. So I click on H5P. This signals to me right away that H5P is what I'm putting in. And then the next thing, I put in the name of my H5P. So I'm going to put Bartles player types. And I'll put page because that is what we should have been working on, but that is just to show you what. So you make sure that whatever this is, it is clear, because this is what the students will see. You can put a description in if you wish, you don't have to. If you put a description in, the students will see it when they click before they start working. And then where it says package file, so even here looks familiar, and you'll see something that says use the content bank window, or you can simply click here and it brings you to this page that we're used to when we're doing normal uploads. But you realize that at the top it says content bank. So you click on content bank, and in the content bank, it will show you everything that you have created already. So these are different interactions that we had done. So let us say this is the one that we just did. I click on it and then I click select, and it shows here as an H5P. So you double check, okay, it has the name, it has the file, and then here you can decide the H5P options. Are you going to allow them to download it? It depends on what it is you're doing, you can select that. And then if it has interactions where you want the students to see how well they're doing, formative assessment or practical tasks, you can then decide what the scores would look like, so that when the student engage, they can get feedback and so forth. If it doesn't have anything, you just leave it at none. And then there's something that's called the attempt options. One of the beautiful things about using the H5P in the VLE is that it gives you a report on students' work. So if you put something in and you want to see how many times a student attempted it, how well the student did, how long the student did, you can select this because it gives you that kind of reporting. So you can turn it on and then you allow students to see how well they have done. We had said in one of our sessions, we never use the H5P for high stake assessment. So we wouldn't use it for a final assessment that has a 60% weighting. We use it for the smaller tasks, the formative tasks. And so if it's like a 20% or 10%, you can allow students to see how well they have done. And it simply means that they see what they have done. You can easily put one attempt limit on it, but it gives you that kind of report. And then when you are finished, you click on either save and return to course or save and display, which will save and display will save and open it right away. Save and return to course brings you back to the course page where you can see where it is. All right, so this is what I had just done. And so the students would simply click on it, and then it tells you that the content is in preview because you're still in teacher mode. All right. And let me close that. Okay, so oh, there we go. It's a little bit sluggish today. And so the students would go in. Please remember, this is a different interaction, but the students, it would open and then the students would go through the information. If there are interactions, the student would do the interactions, and then the students would be able to see there's something that comes up that says attempts report. The students would click on it, just as how I'm clicking on it now, and the student will only see his or her name and the information that says, this is how many times you did it, this is your responses, this is how long it takes, you have passed or you have failed, and they get that kind of information. So after we have created our content in the content bank, okay, so we go to the content bank, we build it, that is part of the process. That is the first part. It simply means that you have the content. It doesn't mean that your student have access to it. You have to do the second part, which is going to where you want the student to have it, turning your editing on, going to activities, clicking on H5P, filling out the information, accessing it from the content bank, and then saving it so your students can have access. So, ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell, I have tried to keep within the time as much as possible. That is the H5P tool. It is called a page because it allows you to put all your content and your interactions together in one place. It varies from the Moodle page because the Moodle page is a resource. It only provides students with content that they read through. And whereas you can add a little interaction by putting in a link, the link simply takes them to more information that they will be reading. What the H5P page does is that it allows you to add your content that they will be reading, but as they read, you can also have them testing their knowledge, applying, exploring, dragging and dropping, and so forth. So it is a useful tool for you to explore. I'll find out what has happened to it on our VLE, but if you decide to look at the Lumi tool, we have our recording on our YouTube or Settlemona YouTube. You can take a look at it, download that tool, explore it a little bit, see if this can work for you and your students. Are there any questions, any comments, anything you need to clarify just before we wrap up? Yes, it's a lovely tool, Mrs. Worrell Johnson. It is a good tool. If we're thinking about active learning, and how we can engage our students a little more. It is indeed a good tool that we can use. And we encourage you to explore. Just remember that this is just another tool. It ought to be about the learning process and not so much about the tool. So ask yourself before you start, is there, if I didn't use this tool, would my students still be able to do what I want them to do? If the answer is yes, then you don't need the tool. If the tool is just going to be frills, leave it alone. So you have to ensure that the tool does make a difference and then you work with it. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if we have our, Dominic, do we have our evaluation? We tend to ask for some form of feedback so we know what we're doing well, what we need to improve upon. And there is a section where we ask you to indicate what other workshops or sessions you would like us to have with you. Be reminded that you didn't really get hands-on for this because this is a webinar. The 1 hour is just a webinar. Our workshops are longer. So the one that we'll be having on the 16th is a workshop where you get to come with your ideas and you build as we go along. So we thank you very much for coming. We invite you to complete the workshop. We encourage you to explore our LibGuide, the exhibition that we showcased earlier. Dominic, you can put the LibGuides. Thank you very much. You're way ahead of me. And thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. We expect to continue to serve you and we thank you. Look out for our tools and our sessions in the coming months. Have a good one.
Mrs. Stewart McCoy.
Yes, Dr. Chisholm.
Yes, I just noticed that Mrs. Karen Edwards, who you work with. I don't think she was here at the beginning. I didn't see her. I don't know if she was here, but I'd like to express the thanks of the CETL to her for the wonderful work. I don't know if she had heard my voice before, but I'd like her to hear my voice now saying thank you so much for
Thank you.
all the hard work.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chisholm.
Good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good one. It's raining, so please ensure that you are protected if you have to go out in the rain. Thank you, Dominic.